Good evening. I'm Cat Doctor, coming to you live tonight with our reigning tournament champion, Edgeworth. How are you doing tonight, Edgeworth?
I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to seeing how this team comp does with respect to the Stage 1 flags.
Yeah, there's been a lot of runs and a lot of attention on the Stage 1 flags of the upcoming season that's starting next week. And you yourself just unveiled the last character pick, the Thief.
Yeah, my personal preference is to go with Double Fighter, but I think for the sake of speed, getting a few extra minutes running the Thief might actually be the right play here. So I'm curious to see really how some of the folks on the featured stream decide to what decisions they make with this party count.
Yeah, how do you think that's going to affect the early game for people?
As far as the early game goes, being able to run away at lower levels is certainly going to save some time. And being able to run away from large groups and Temple of Fiends at the end is also going to save some time. Where you lose time with respect to a double fighter party is the amount of damage that you deal, versus bosses. So I'm just curious to see if running the Thief feels like you're making up more time than losing the damage from the double fighter.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that rolls out, and we are going to get started very soon. We have a kind of a hot start today, and it should be just in 10 seconds, actually. We've got 4 racers here. We've got 19 others, or 18 others. I lost track. One of the largest races we've ever had on Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer.
Yeah, and a question in chat from Romulus is, running the Thief or danning the Thief? That's a decision that the runners are going to have to make, and I think, a lot of it's just going to be contextual based on what we have in the magic shops, for example.
That's right, and we're going to see just in a few seconds what they do. We've got Temper in the black magic shop, which is going to be exciting for people. We've got Bismarck heading into the shop. Got everybody on the stream just doing the normal activities that you're going to do in Corneria starting out. No big surprises in the item shop. Cabins for 28. That's going to be nice for people.
The bottle for sale early on, so that might be useful to pick up, only for 900 gold.
That's right. It's nice to get that item shop item out of the way early. And it looks like Fuchsia, as Fuchsia is want to do, is in the lead and just outside Temple of Fiends. No, that Bismarck is walking out of the castle, and it looks like actually Bismarck, I missed it on the stream. Bismarck is already talked to the king.
Yeah, and I wonder if he just wanted the the experience bump from the key item. It's not really going to help him out, though. I prefer to do that after visiting Garland.
That's right. We get a 5% boost, I believe, for every key item in these flags. And Fuchsia is taking on Garland with Ice 2, not really having much of any trouble there, though taking 2 rounds.
Yeah, and the Thief gets knocked out, so not a terrible outcome, and we'll see what the Princess has.
And it looks like we already knew the King had the cube, and the Princess has the canoe, so that will be pretty standard for this set of flags. So for Fuchsia at this point, Edge, you typically go clockwise to Provoca, or do you go counterclockwise?
Typically go to clockwise to Provoca. I like hunting down all of the possible incentive locations before moving on. That might change with stage 2 and how heavily incentivized Marsh is, but for these flags, definitely like going to Provoca first.
That makes sense, and it looks like there was definitely enough money laying around in the Temple of Fiends to take care of that bottle purchase. But Zelnop is actually the first one over the bridge, it looks like. Chitin's still working on Garland.
Yeah, it looked like Fuchsia decided to buy quite a lot in the way of resources, while Zelnop is just barreling towards Provoca.
Getting those early heals out of the way at a place where heals in the top slot is going to save Fuchsia a few seconds there.
Yeah, also good to pick up the cabins. They're pretty cheap with respect to how much they usually are. Soft potions are a little ridiculous, though.
And we've got Zelnop taking a few fights along the way, getting stopped by some wolves. Fuchsia is on his way to Provoca. Not having too much trouble with the encounter table, it looks like. Chitin doing some purchasing in Canaria. Bismarck doing his heals.
Alright, so we have Red Mage learnable exit, and we have Nuke. So this is going to be a real quick seed, it looks like, and Nuke learnable by the Ninja as well.
That's going to be an interesting choice if we get a tail early on.
Life 2 Red Mage learnable, which means it's Knight learnable as well. So this is and the floater here, all things considered, this is shaping up to be a dream seed, and these are the kind of seeds where Fuchsia starts to take risks to get sub-hour finishes. So we'll see what he tries to do here.
Absolutely, we've seen some amazing times out of Fuchsia in practice runs, and he'll definitely be strapping as many jets to himself as he possibly can find.
Cheap houses as well, nice to find. You don't need too many of them early on, but it's always nice to have them, especially when you need to take a couple spins through the Volcano Treasury, for example.
So Edge, at this point, seeing just how fast this looks, would you change your strategy at some point, just taking advantage of that speed, or would you just keep with kind of your normal strats?
So this is definitely something where I might try to cut out some of the safety measures that I would do. Maybe go in with less desirable equipment, or maybe not taking as many trips through the volcano to go outside and save. Just with the powerful magic that you have available at level 2, you can get off to a very, very fast start.
It's going to be interesting, too, to hear and find out what everybody off the stream is doing, because as I said at the top of the broadcast, we have a ton of racers tonight, and many of them, including some of the ones on your screen, are incredibly fast racers, so we're probably going to see some very fast times.
And Fuchsia is going to stop in at Crescent Lake, and looks like he's looking for some decent starting armor.
There's some iron armor there. That's going to be a little bit of something to start with, at least. And in the level 6 magic, nothing too special in there, it looks like.
Yeah, nothing particularly special there either. At this point, the runners are really just looking for where's fast and where's temper, and what some old men just doing laps in the park.
Right, and we've got level 1 temper anyway, so it's really just fast.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Really just everything laid out for you. It's just how fast can you run at this point.
Yeah, maybe wall if they don't find any ribbons, but usually, with 3 of them in the pool, you'll find one by the time you get to the end.
So one thing that that Fuchsia is going to be doing, and the other runners once they're in their airship, is dropping off the crown and visiting Astos here to wake him up and say hello. And that's going to be a good little XP boost, so he doesn't have to worry about taking other fights along the way.
Yeah, and the earlier you can fight Astos, the better it is. As you can see here, just one nuke and you've gained 3 levels. It's so efficient.
And it looks like on the bottom left of the screen, Zelnop is routing around in the river system, potentially going to the volcano.
Yeah, the volcano would be a good place to get some starting levels. It looks like he's heading to Ice Cave. He did a little bit of a pop grind so that he had some nuke charges. Not sure if he came with houses in tow. Fuchsia's going to pick up the herb.
It's a high-risk play for Zelnop. Ice Cave is not incentivized on this seed, so either he's going to find something really magical in there, or it's going to hurt him.
Well, so far he found a Tyra. Oh, how could you?
And another Tyro falls to the sword. Meanwhile, Fuchsia is dropping off the herb, grabbing the key. That's going to unlock incentivized location Ordeal's Castle, or sorry, not Ordeal's, Caneria Castle, and the locked room in there, which is going to have an incentivized item. And in the back of Elfland, we've got nothing too much. A couple staffs.
Yeah, big pile of junk there. What's interesting is normally runners are looking for, one of 3 swords to finish the game out with, either Mazmune, Excal, or the Vorpal. But with the Thief in the party, if you can pick up the tail, the Katana works just fine as well. And with plenty of temper charges available, the strength deficit of the Thief isn't as noticeable. So this might be one of those situations where the winning party swings Katana instead of any of the typical fighter swords.
Right, Katana's stats are comparable to the Vorpal in the hands of a ninja, so that's going to be interesting. So Fuchsia's picked up the slab and is now running into Dwarf to get in some of those lock chests in there, and Zelnop seems to have thought better of his plan and or finished it to his satisfaction, and he's headed back to Crescent Lake.
Yeah, he got roughed up a little bit by the Hydras who are throwing thunder around, so definitely need to avoid that encounter as much as you can.
And it looks like they're just as you were saying that, they ran him over again with some thunder, so that does sound a little rough, and it looks like Chitin's experiencing the same Hydra issues.
Yeah, this is just not a fight that you can afford to take at all. And Fuchsia finds the red keys, so he might burn his spell charges here just to get a level or 2.
And Bismarck picks up the crown while everybody else is in the river system, and Fuchsia takes out that red D after a couple of rounds.
Yeah, and we've got slime, so if the nukes go off early, this is going to be good. But they hit pretty hard. And really, though, the Thief taking a dirt nap here is not all that undesirable, and that's another 3 levels. So Fuchsia found really a great place to get a few more levels that will allow him to basically dive any dungeon that he wants at this point.
That's right, and it looks like he's going over to Melmond, checking in with the ruined town there, finding out at level 5 we've got Wall and Life. And Warp.
Yeah, so all of those locked until class promotion, but certainly worth coming back for.
Chitin picking up their crown, and Bismarck finishing up with Astos. So in second place potentially on our screen. It looks like it's Zelnop picking up the floater in the bottom left, stopping to visit the Peed farm.
So Zelnop is also taking the tack of getting some early levels, so that he is doing a little bit better in the spell charge department. But Fuchsia's just finding the slimes, one of the great endgame enemies for experience, is a huge boost to him.
And we've got some sandworms now, making Fuchsia's life slow down a little bit, but he grabs some experience there and grabs a couple more levels, or one more.
Yeah, each sandworm being slightly less than an Agama, I believe, but significantly easier to kill when you get 2 of them, and you have Nuke. It's a no-brainer.
But Fuchsia decides to leave the Tyro alone.
I'm pretty sure if Fuchsia could have killed the Tyro quickly, he would have, but just not enough nuke charges saves the day.
So Zelnop is now flying, and he's flying towards Elfland, and over it up to some space up here, and he's stopping into the castle. Bismarck, meanwhile, is visiting some shops and taking care of a little bit of shopping, picking up some chain armor. And meanwhile, we've got Chitin, who is taking a walk, heading up to Provoca. And Fuchsia is...
It looked like Chitin was coming back from a pop grind as well, so, with early nuke, might have been tempting to get a few levels there. Question in chat, what kind of stats do the enemies have? I believe it's goes up to 180%, but I can double check that real quick.
That sounds right to me, but a double check is always good. And we've got Fuchsia potentially looking at some purchases of some armor in there, putting on some steel armor, and meanwhile Bismarck is checking out some lock chests in the northwest castle, and he'll be able to take advantage potentially of that, of those trap tiles if he decides to check them out. But it looks like he's finding the red dragon. We'll see if that does well for him.
And Zelnop's going to pick up his Mystic Key. Fuchsia is doubling back for some reason to pick up the Thief, and then going to the shrine here.
And after Fuchsia picks up this Oxyale, it could be over to the waterfall, or it could be the start of dungeons.
Oh gosh, the slimes have Blair too, and well, the Black Mage and the Thief for Bismarck are going to get a lot of experience, but that's probably not what he wanted.
That's rough, but it looks like Bismarck's had enough of the slimes then.
Yeah, still, Black Mage at level 10 with Nuke at 2 means you've got plenty of charges to just blast your way through whatever dungeons you feel you need to do, and Fuchsia feels the need to take care of Ordeals right now.
And as we mentioned before, Ordeals is a incentivized location, so at the top of Ordeals there's going to be something that Fuchsia needs, and it's entirely possible that is the tail in the vanilla location. That seems to happen a strange number of times on Stage 1 flags, at least in my experience.
Yeah. What I would be interested in is to see if Fuchsia decides to dig the tail out, if this happens to be the last key item that he's looking for. I don't think we've seen the rod yet.
I don't think we've seen it either. And I wonder if we can get some updates from anybody off stream. So if you're in the chat and you have some intel to pass us about any of the streamers that are off stream and what kind of progress they are making in comparison to our on-stream runners, definitely let us know. Question from the chat: has there been any sign of the game changer? And Will Cleosis is strongly of the belief that that's the Vorpal sword, and that has not been seen. But we are seeing some Sphinxes here, and it looks like a few basic items and some chests here for Fuchsia at the top of Ordeals. Really just blew through Ordeals. I didn't even notice any time pass while he figured out the puzzle teleporters, and we have the rod.
So loot, key, rod, chime cube, and Oxiel. He knows that the tail is going to be sitting in the waterfall, but he doesn't need to get it. So I'd be very curious to see what he does.
So in this case, what do you think you would end up doing in terms of you've got the waterfall that you could just completely ignore to make up time, but you've also got those spells locked away that are going to also increase your time. So it seems like there's a balance to strike there.
I think I would dig out the Cardia Islands first and then make my decision. And it seems like Bismarck is currently digging those out right now.
Bismarck picking up a couple Soria fights. It's always a little bit of reliable XP. Fuchsia stopping in at the caravan. No item there because it was in Caneria, but a good place to pick up some items quickly. Meanwhile, Zalnot picking up the slab. And Chitin visiting some Peds. Not seeing any big swords out of Cardia or big equipment, it seems.
Yeah, and one more to go, and we'll see how this turns out. Looks like Fuchsia is going to dig out the tail, and Bismarck's going to find the ship.
Well, maybe he can put that in a bottle on his airship or something.
It's still worth 5%, so...
That's true. Every 5% counts. We've got a wear sword. We've got a pure and the ruby. Another thing he can put on the ship. Get 5% for.
Well, you can also feed that to the Titan and get 4 more relatively low effort chests. So definitely something to consider routing in once he picks up some of his other key items.
Zalnut now visiting Sarda and gonna pick up the item that's there, and Chitin grabbing their Oxyale. So people are picking up steam. Fuchsia beelining for the final room at the waterfall. I'm about to say hello to the robot, but first has to say hello to mummies, and that's going to be some more XP if he takes it.
Yeah, not a bad formation to just nuke down if available, with the 2 Wiz Mummies in there. Usually you want to see like 5 Wiz Mummies out of that trap tile, and a full pack of Mud Gulls, also a consideration for throwing a nuke out there, but it looks like Fuchsia is just, he's gonna book it, and he knows some place where he can get some really efficient levels if he needs them, so...
It looks like Bismarck is now making his run for the chime, and Chitin finishing up their Cardia clear. We already know that they're not going to find too much exciting there, but Fuchsia is picking up a few mummies, it seems. I mean,
yeah,
killing them.
But with 3 party members stun locked, kind of forced into it. Finds the gold bracelet, so... and the tail, so not having to dig out or not having to go and buy a gold bracelet, always nice. There was also an ice sword, but, good for mid-game, feels real bad Temple of Fiends.
Right, and Fuchsia uses exit to cut off a bunch of time out of having to exit the waterfall, which is always nice. And making another quick line back to the ship.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to do the class promotion, maybe hit Cardia, and then go into waterfall area.
Meanwhile, we've got Zelnop taking a fight with a Zombol. Chitin grabbing some items from Sarda, and Bismarck is in Lafine, picking up the chime there. So Chitin's got a loot now. That's going to be another 5% for him, and he's putting together his collection of key items.
Yeah, no Lupa Lupas today yet, so. Fuchsia's making short work of these cardio checks, but you know, unfortunately, he's going to find a big old pile of junk here. But an extra 10% experience at least.
And every 5 and every 10% is going to increase the speed that that all of our runners can run at. And so we're at 23 minutes now, and we've got Fuchsia with upgraded or about to be upgraded light warriors and a vast collection of key items. We've got Zelnop, Chitin, and Bismarck assembling their collections as well. Zelnop's just about to get to the top here of ordeals, and again find not all that much considering how many treasure chests there are up there.
Yeah, and given that Fuchsia left before diving into Sea Shrine, it's pretty clear that he wants the levels on his characters. The magic spell levels. And he's going to get those, you know, leveling from 15 to 20 pretty naturally, so he should finish out with, you know, 3 or 4 charges by the time he gets Temple of Fiends.
So, in the case here where you've got such good equipment and you're so well equipped, do you change up your strategy of hitting fiend dungeons to prioritize more treasure?
So early on, I like to go into Volcano a lot because you can do both. Volcano has a lot of treasures that are easily accessible from sort of the main path, and you know, other than the chests that are at the end of the maze on the second floor, it doesn't take very long to dig out all of those chests. So really, wherever I can for Stage 1 flags, I like to do both. And I think it's just, you're really improving your team along 2 axes and, you know, knocking out an objective while also getting quite a lot of equipment.
Makes sense to me. And we've got Fuchsia now in the Sea Shrine, still quite far in the lead, and we're going to see what is in some of these treasure chests, perhaps, and also pick up some Gershark fights.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he just zips on through, you know, checking sort of the minimal amount of chests, but I would be curious to see if he doesn't find anything good, if he's gonna dive Mermaid side.
And there are a lot of treasure chests Mermaid side to make that potentially valuable if you go in there. And it looks like Bismarck is making his way to the top of ordeals, checking that off. Meanwhile, Zelnop is turning in the bottle and gonna pick up his Oxy Ale. Chitin, meanwhile, finding out what is at the trap tiles in Northwest Castle, potentially, and their pickups. Bismarck taking out some mummies along the way. That's going to help. Level 12 now, and Fuchsia fighting more sharks and gonna make his way up to level 20 soon at this rate, like you were talking about.
Yeah, the double Gershark group, pretty good, especially in these flag sets. They have a very, very annoying tendency to roll very high in the HP department, normally. But ooh, it's oof.
Oh. And it looks like, talking about rolling high, it looks like these Sehags have quite a bit of HP themselves. And it might be the end of Fusion the Sea Shrine if this doesn't go his way.
Yeah, should be able to make it out of this fight. Annoyingly, he may have to burn, another spell charge. But with, 4 life 2 charges, the biggest issue with this is now down to 1 nuke charge.
Right, and not a lot of variety in spell levels yet to really be able to spread out that magic use.
Yeah, I'm really surprised he didn't go for the 3 chests. It's 6 extra steps to get 3 chests. Normally a very good time investment. But as you said, he's going for it. He's scrapped on the jets.
And we're not quite at the half-hour mark, and we're about to see what Kraken is looking like today.
Yeah, this is potentially scary. Normally when I fight a fiend, I like to have a couple different ways of dealing with them. So maybe I have, a knight with an ice sword, but I also have a mage with confusion. In this case, he's going into this fight with nuke being the primary way of getting through it, and if Kraken, rolled pretty high, this could be a scary fight.
We've got an update from Offstream in the chat. Shyliesia is making a dive into the Earth Cave, which is, if that ends up being smooth and Fuchsia doesn't have a good time here with Kraken, that could be a useful move.
Throws the Bane Sword out to no avail. See how much damage the Knight with the Ice Sword does. 21 feels bad. So now time to temper up the Knight, and seems like he dodged that, so pretty solid.
We're seeing numbers like 59 damage. We've got a nuke here for 192, and Kraken goes down. And that is the first Fiend defeat that we've seen, potentially the first Fiend defeat in this entire race of nearly 20 racers. And
And we've got Zelnop digging out Mirage Tower and finds the defense sword, which is one of the very, very nice to have items in this game.
Yeah, that's one of the top tier swords that we've got in Final Fantasy 1. So that's definitely going to put him in a good place in terms of offense. And this 9 mummy, Wiz Mummy combo is going to give him a nice boost as well. And he's up to 18.
Yeah, and there he goes with Brack. So picking that up just for the Tiamat fight in the hopes that will save him time. And yeah, he is definitely going all in on all of the potential fastest strats here. May not be the safest, but when they work, you save a lot of time.
And it definitely looks like our paths here of our forerunners are diverging quite a lot now. We got Bismarck rolling into the waterfall now, and we'll be picking up his tail. And Chitin in the top left, finding out what's in the Volcano Armory. Got some Dragon Armor, Age of Shield. I'm not sure. I feel like I saw Mazmian for a second, but then I didn't see an equipped, so maybe I was just seeing things and dreaming.
We'll see when Chitin goes into the inventory. Zelnop is continuing on through Mirage Tower.
It's really just completely jam-packed with mummies today in the tower.
Yeah, and they have paralysis touch, so a little rude, and poison damage, also not great.
Poison is going to be a bad time, as usual. But Life 2, again, not making too many things a problem, but he is running a little low on charges, so he's going to have to make some decisions.
Yeah, time to burn some potions. Always feels bad because of the amount of time you spend menuing, but sometimes you have to do it.
It looks like Bismarck is coming out of the waterfall successfully and rolling on. And Zelnap more mummies, but making really fast work of them now with a fast nuke that gets off. Meanwhile, Fuchsia making some purchases for his knights.
Yeah, picking up Ice 2, Temper, Nuke also available, and Life 2 as well, so provoke a trip right now.
And Zelnap comes out of the tower for a bit. Chitin's still poking around at the armory. Bismarck getting his upgrade. And it looks like Zelnap is diving back in, dealing with the vampires and other assorted friends.
Yeah, it looks like Zelnap just threw an exit out after clearing out the 10 chests on this floor, and then used a house. Smart move since he had burned through the bulk of his nuke charges. And pro rings and gold bracelets for everyone on Fuchsia's side, and he is, completely out of money at this point.
Completely out of money, but getting close to assembling a go mode kit.
Yeah, certainly. That implies strongly to me that he is going to skip a lot of chests that are not conveniently on the way. And Chitin does have the Mazmune now. He finds it in the second floor of the volcano.
I must have just had a premonition. And it looks like that is close enough to the main line where it might be something that Fuchsia, who's now in the volcano, will stop to check. He's also stopping to check the armory.
Yeah, and there's a ton of nice stuff in the armory as well, although I think he just finished picking up a ton of pro rings, so those won't be as useful.
But we've got the dragon armor in there and the Aegis shield, as we know, so that's really going to help him out. Meanwhile, it looks like Bismarck is taking on some gargoyles in the Earth Cave and making a run into there, picking up chests along the way. Nothing too much in a cabin, a couple K of gold, and a short sword.
Yeah, so if he decides to check this out, he's going to be in really good shape. That Mazmune chest is, it only takes a couple of extra steps to get those 2 chests.
And I think at that point, once Fuchsia's got the Mazmune, do you think there's anything left that he needs to get in his inventory before he's just ready to ignore all the chests and go?
I think the only thing that would be nice to have would be the defense sword, but with Life 2 on the Knights, even if the Knight is the last party member to survive, he's still in pretty good shape, so I wouldn't anticipate him not being able to get to Chaos with, without a full party intact, even with no evasion available.
And it looks like here he goes, and he's got the Mazmune, and that is going to take him far.
At this point, he's just going to hit the gas. I would not be surprised if he just checks a few more chests for equipment and completely skips Sky and Mirage, for example.
Speaking of Mirage and Sky, Zelnap is up in the sky and seems to be continuing deeper and deeper in here, finding, of course, the chests in here and also potentially taking a run at Tiamat.
Question in chat, how many loose items in this flag set? This flag set is very similar to Swiss Round, so not any at this point. If the ship and the TNT land in in an incentivized location, then that will push one of the other items into a loose chest. But at the moment, with Canoe and Floater showing up so early, there is no
And just a few seconds ago, Zelnop grabbed the Vorpal in Sky. Won't be able to make use of that because he doesn't have the upgrades, but now we know where that is hiding.
Yeah, and eventually he'll come around to find the tail in the waterfall, so he should be okay to use that for his endgame push. Not as nice as the Mazmune, but can definitely get the job done with the amount of temper charges available.
Controversial opinions from Edgeworth.
It's just, with the stats being at 180, the chances are a lot lower that you're going to need the critical hit rate of the Katana or the Vorpal to get through a high absorb rating. Zelnop finding a ribbon. And I think that might be the first one we've seen of anyone so far.
Yeah, I think it is, and so that's going to provide some nice protection for Zelnop, and give him that advantage when coming up against Tiamat if he decides to go all the way here.
Chitin finding the white shirt in the volcano, and I don't know if you should have went for that or not. Don't believe so.
And Fuchsia taking out some Egamas, a good old standard, and picking up a couple levels. Still not at 20, but just about to talk to Carrie and take her out, probably in not too long.
Yeah, and it's pretty clear that his plan is to use nuke charges on the way up to Tiamat, and then take out Tiamat using Brack and Bane. Which is, it's a pretty good strategy. There are a lot of groups in Sky that are worth a ton of experience. You've run into the Slimes, the Nachos, the Guard Sentry, and it's justifiable to use nuke on all of those. And then you still have, you know, very good chance of insta-killing Tiamat with Brack and the Bane Sword.
And we've got Fuchsia checking out the rubies now. Cleared out Carrie with no problem. Has 2 orbs now. Bismarck has 1. Has the Earth orb. Took out Lich. Not too much of a problem there either. And visiting the shops in Melmond now with his upgraded crew. Meanwhile, Zelnop taking care of some Mancats, not going as quickly as he might want.
Yeah, the Mancats being pretty resistant to you know, all of the most flavors of magic. So anything that you can do damage with, they like just thumbing their nose at.
I feel like I should have some kind of like inherent, you know, I can relate to Mancats, but they're just so annoying. I don't know what to do with them. So we've got a team of red hydras here. That's going to take out or give us some nice experience there too as well. And Fuchsia poking into the Earth Cave, probably gonna actually still doing some chest dives. Probably still looking for that ribbon or 2. But as far as we know, he's not going to find it in here.
Yeah, he's definitely looking for the ribbon. But you know, it makes, he's gonna know how much time he has to finish with the sub-hour, and kind of keep that in the back of his mind and wonder, you know, how many chests can I dig out in Sky and still get the time that I want. So definitely curious to see how this plays out.
And we're taking a look at Tiamat now. Zelnop fighting Tiamat, throwing out some nukes. Tiamat's just giving some ink back, so not really posing much of a threat now, but let's see how it goes. We've got the black shirt here. We've got some tempers coming out. Brack.
Yeah, and Brack, so this is, I support this 100%, especially when you're just flinking away. That sword, that ice sword, is not doing a whole lot right now.
And Poison came out, took out Thief, no problem. But the bigger problem now is our Black Mage here is now eating some dirt as well.
Yeah, and the temper stacks are finally having some effect, but this is turning into a longer fight, and this is one of the reasons why you bring Brack, even though it's not a guaranteed instant kill. If you have multiple characters that are casting it in a round, it increases your chances of success dramatically.
And it looks like timeout's all done for Zelnop, and he picks up his number 4 orb, his first.
Yeah, and this would have been definitely rewarding for Zelnop if the other dungeons turned out to have some really nasty stuff in it. But as we've seen, the other runners have made it through, ribbonless without too much difficulty. So
we really haven't seen much in the way of terrible encounters with skills that you need a ribbon for and stop you from progressing. It just seems like smooth sailing wherever you're going.
Yeah, I suspect that some of the nastier stuff landed either on the monsters in C or the groups in Temple of Fiends that we haven't noticed yet. And I think Chitin is setting up for an Agama grind, but wants this thief to die first.
It's always a frustrating process trying to get the monsters to actually hit the thief when you want the thief to die, so he didn't actually succeed there. But
he's going to dig out the red D chest, so he's got to go over 2 forced encounter tiles for this, and with the tile randomization, this is always scary to see what these guys have.
And it's a mummy pack.
Bismarck's going to pick up his Masmian, and Zelnop, not too far behind, he's still digging out chests, so that'll come for sure.
Yeah, we've got party in the volcano right now, except for Fuchsia.
Yeah, Fuchsia electing not to dig out the top 5 on the second last floor, and gonna be rewarded for that. Really isn't anything there.
And those are a longer walk, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's a bit of a walk, but if you have warp available, then it's not too bad. It's definitely feels really terrible if you have to grab those chests and then walk all the way out. Because not only is it a long walk to get there, but it's a fairly long room as well.
And Chitin facing Carry now for his first orb. Got the white shirt coming out, some heal staff. Meanwhile, Fuchsia fighting against Lich, and if past is any indication, this is going to take, one shot, 342 damage for the kill on Lich, and orb number 3 for Fuchsia.
Yeah, so now just has to zip through Sky, and this could be one of the fastest dungeons, provided you don't pick out any chests, so I'll be interested to see the tack that Fuchsia, what he elects to do. Looks like he's going to pick up a tent to rearrange his inventory. And then I think he's got the chime already, so should be good.
Yeah, he's got the chime, and he's heading right in. If a sandworm doesn't get in his way.
Yeah, these are the fights where I typically like to have one character run, or one character attack and the other 3 run. The sandworm isn't really an appreciable amount of experience per time by itself, unless it's the first action. So if the fighter goes first and one-shots him, great. If not, I'm gonna run away from the fight.
And we're coming up on the 47-minute mark, and Fuchsia running into their 4th Fiend dungeon, grabbing a saber. Still looking at chests. I guess still holding up hope for that ribbon and not actually finding it, and spending maybe more time here than I would expect from Fuchsia.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't feel comfortable without a ribbon. So the question then becomes: does he check the top floor of or the top treasure chest floor of Sky or not? And depending on what he does there, he could find the same ribbon that Zelnoth does. Does find defense sword though, so not a complete waste of time.
And just to remind everybody what tonight's event is all about, this is the last exhibition match before season starts, season 2, and that's starting next week. We've got shows coming up on Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Some of those are going to be right here on Randomania on one of the affiliated channels. And this is the preview of Stage 1, so we're seeing what is going to happen in the official races next week. And some of these racers, all of these racers, except for Chitin, I think, are in the league.
Yeah, so the question in chat, how do I feel about a similar situation against a larger group where you run 3 times and nuke once? Yeah, that is basically the same situation, but with the mage being the one doing the action instead of the knight, and I feel pretty much the same way. The only caveat being that I want the... unless it's a very dangerous group where I just want to kill them off as fast as possible and then run, I want to make sure that the single nuke is very, very likely to kill all of them, because nothing feels worse than the old FFR special where nuke rolls low on one enemy and then you don't get the experience, but you got to watch the animation time.
Yeah, sounds like my personal experience. So, while we were talking, while I was giving that update, Zelnoth running into the Earth Cave, and Bismarck chasing after Fuchsia, poking at the Mirage chests, picking up his defense and Flame Shield. Now, Fuchsia taking out some Catmen. You know, personal favorite, but you got to do it. You got to throw that nuke out there.
Yeah, and you know, again, in Fuchsia's shoes, not too bad. He has plenty of Brack and Bane charges to go around. Yeah, another question in chat: are these Stage 1 flags? They are. It was to coincide with the announcement that I made that Thief is going to be the final class picked for the first round of the league. So this is sort of the first practice race for a lot of the runners, and it's a good one. 19 people in this race so far.
19 people coming up in 51 minutes, and our lead racer on the screen, Fuchsia, is just about to hit Sky Palace. And Egema is gonna step in the way for a second, give him some free XP, and we're a little ways away from seeing the 4th orb lit potentially, after looks like Fuchsia is running in to check out those chests that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, definitely. There are so many really nasty spells in the Fiend pool that normally when you have ribbons, you are less concerned about the instant death spells like the Banes and Zaps. But also, spells like Inferno deal an absolute ton of damage when you don't have any elemental protection against them. So it's one of the reasons why it's fairly important to at least have one character with a ribbon, and especially if it's the mage that can resurrect people.
So thinking about those elemental skills, if you've been this long, you're through almost all 4 fiend dungeons, and you really haven't run into any of those really damaging instant death skills, do you start thinking that you're pretty sure at this point that they're all going to be stacked up at Temple of Fiends Revisited?
I mean, you never know. They could land on a lot of the, sea enemies that you don't see. Some of the rare enemies. I mean, T-Rex could catch the nuke and you would never know because it's a Group 8 encounter. And there are a lot of encounters on the overworld that you just straight up don't take, like the Frostwolf encounters. Oh, we found the nuke, though. It's on the sentry, and Bismarck just got blown up by it.
Oh, that's pretty rough, yeah. Those sentries can be pain in the ass.
Yeah, especially they carry around so much life and absorb that it's difficult to bring them down in the first round. So at this point, they are basically not even worth fighting. You just have to run, hope for the best.
And Zelnop is nuking down Lich pretty quickly and picks up his second orb and hops out, no problem. So that puts him tied up with Bismarck for 2 orbs and Fuchsia with 3, Chitin with 1. And things are progressing pretty quickly, as we imagined they would in this fast seed.
Yeah, and now Fuchsia has his ribbon and probably feels good to go. And in fact, he's not even going to continue checking chests. So this is, now Fuchsia has definitely put his foot on the gas, but we'll see. There are some of the runners off stream that have already entered Temple of Fiends, and it remains to be seen how nasty their spell distribution is. So.
That's right. We've got some updates from off stream that Shailasia is in the Temple of Fiends Revisited already and has been for a little while. Crab cakes, a girl drink drunk, all in the Temple of Fiends, but it sounds like Shailasia is in the lead.
Yeah, and we got a Wormack sighting. Bismarck taking a fire 3 to the face, so at least, hey, that's not nuke. Still does a ton of damage when you only have 1 ribbon, though.
And nuking down the Warmech, put enough damage on it to take it out and pick up your 15,200 XP for that. Zelnop is visiting the waterfall. He's going to be picking up his tail. And we've got Fuchsia just making his way across the Bridge of Destiny along with Bismarck.
Yeah, so Fuchsia will be pretty much right behind all of those front runners to snipe anybody that takes a wipe here. So this is it's gonna be a close finish.
It's going to be a close, very, very close to an hour as well. If Shailasia, and we hear from off stream, is thank you, Wilkliosis, is closing in on Kraken 2. Meanwhile, Fuchsia has picked up their 4th orb, and he's going to be heading to the Temple of Fiends as fast as he possibly can.
Yeah, the only problem is there is an absolute ton of unrunnable encounters along the way, and it's just being a drain on the resources of all the folks that are already in Temple of Fiends. So Fuchsia having, stopped to get extra equipment, may be in better shape, especially if these last 3 boss enemies for Shy just proved to be really rough.
It may turn out to be a method to his madness. Bismarck now taking out Tiamat, sending some Brax his way, and some nukes. Getting some pretty good hits in with Temper, and bracking some more. And that is going to, let's see, and Brack doesn't do anything for him, but the hits are doing pretty well. and we've got a victory over Tiamat, and that's 3 orbs for Bismarck.
Yeah, Fuchsia entering Temple of Fiends in sub-hour, which is still a phenomenal time. This is proven to be really one of the fastest seeds we've had going so far.
I wonder if the pick of the Thief ended up having an impact on the time here, because it does make those runs more possible in the early game.
Yeah, I do think so, and interestingly enough, a lot of the runners elected to keep the Thief alive. I think Fuchsia had the Thief dead for a while until he really needed to start running away from encounters in sea and sky.
We've got Zelnup in the Sea Shrine now, taking on some lobsters. Meanwhile, Fuchsia is grabbing those chests in the Temple of Fiends Revisited. Nothing there, and that's not something I see often. So maybe he has some premonition about these unrunnables.
Well, he has certainly found a pretty good part of the encounter table, getting a very, very nice run. Unfortunately, he doesn't have anything that does really appreciable damage to Undead. No pickups of Fire 3 or anything, so...
And unrunnable for zombie dragons is not something you want to do every day. There's another ribbon Zelnup just picked up in C, beside the katana chest. And it's going to be frustrating for everybody else ribbonless so far. Zelnup with 2. Oh, that's not true. It looks like Fuchsia has 1, according to the tracker.
Yeah, and Shai takes a wipe on the Tiamat 2 fight.
And that's Mr. Versetti doing tracking today. Thank you very much, Mr. Versetti, for your help today. Along with our restreamer today is Trenton, picking it up and running with it. And the entire crew of people at the Final Fantasy Randomizer Discord, setting everything up and keeping everything running and keeping the lights on. So thank you all very much. And of course, everybody here at Randomizer, or sorry, at Randomania. Fuchsia hitting some Frosties now.
So, with respect to spell charge management in Temple of Fiends, this was something that was particularly more important back in the days before Unrunnable Shuffle was on, because you would hit floors that would have about 40% unrunnables and need to prepare to deal with those fights. So, a very popular strategy for blowing through the Temple of Fiends is to just save as many nuke charges as possible and then go all-out offense on bosses like Kraken and Carry, and then set up for the Tiamat and Chaos fights. So in order to do that, you need to save charges of spells. Kraken generally has lower HP than Tiamat and lower absorb, so the Knight can contribute a fair amount of damage without getting buffed. But for the Tiamat fight, you need to be ready to use more in the way of nuke charges and more in the way of fasts and tempers. So, with respect to this Temple of Fiends, we've seen a ton of unrunnable fights, so any spellcasting items that you have your hands on, like the Black Shirt, for instance, would be good if this group was unrunnable. Also good for unrunnable waters. Picking up, Lit 3 and Ice 3 at level 6 and 7 may seem like a waste of time, but, can actually come in handy when you're trying to save those new charges.
So we have news from off stream that Shailesia, who was in the lead, perished to time at 2. Our off stream news correspondent, Wilkliosis, providing these updates. And Girl Drink Drug also died to time at 2, but Crabcakes is gotten through and is on the chaos fight. Meanwhile, Fuchsia on our screen is barreling through the seafloor now.
Yeah, and as an example, this would be a perfect enemy group. This is unrunnable, but if you had lit 3 at 6 or 7, this would be a very, very good, that would be a very good use of the spell. Maybe less so at 6, but 7, or less so at 7, but level 6, by the time you hit level 20, you still have a fair amount of charges in that slot. So the question with respect to saving spell charges is, do you have an alternate way of dealing with the boss fights? If I only have 2 fast charges and 1 temper charge, then I'm saving those for chaos, and I'm just gonna have to save those nuke charges and take a long time in fighting off these unrunnables. But if I have a ton of fast charges, maybe I save the nuke charges for the carry fight, or don't use them and just fast and temper for that fight and hope the fighter throws a big crit. It's really just a matter of, do I have an alternate strategy?
And we have 3 runners now on the screen with 4 orbs lit up. Bismarck making his way into the Temple of Fiends now on the top floor, fighting off some white dragons. Zelnop having spending some time with some chimeras. They are runnable at least. But Fuchsia now fighting Kraken 2 and going for temper charges.
Yeah, Fuchsia also leaving the Knight in the front slot, which I believe at 180% stats is the right move, because the Knight is the only person in your party that's going to be able to take a hit. At this point, I would probably throw out nuke charges if I was in his shoes, but looks like another crushing hit from Mazmune is just gonna make short work of Kraken.
And we have news from off stream that Crabcakes is our first winner today, our first finisher of this incredibly fast speed. And I don't know anything about Crabcakes, and they're not listed on our stats, so it's dark horse victory. Big surprise.
Crabcakes has been known to put together some very, very nice finishes in the challenge seeds and the async seeds, so a good finish in the weekly is not a surprise to me. Maybe the placement at first is a surprise, but certainly has the skill to finish very high, so congratulations to Crabcakes. Enjoy your rocket to the top of the SRL standings.
And in such a tight field with so many tough competitors, that's really gonna be gonna feel good, I must imagine. Crabcake's final time was 1:04:21, and time at now. Fuchsia facing time at 2. And we'll see what the problems were that everybody else was facing here. Time at 2 has taken out some of our off-stream runners. Looks like we've got Ice 2. Not too much of a problem there. 375 for the hit. Sending some nukes out. And a Quad X. Feeling, and 434 damage. That takes time at 2 out. No problem.
Yeah, so Fuchsia being definitely more prepared for that fight. The equipment advantage definitely showed there.
And now Fuchsia Fantasy is facing Chaos, and we're about to see what Chaos has in store. And some temper charges coming out, some defense, a wall coming out, and a temper. So, bringing out all the guns.
Yep, and Crab Cakes declined an interview, but GG to them anyway, and definitely look forward to watching more of their races in the future, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I'll be looking for that VOD after the show for sure. Nukes coming out on Chaos. Defense again. And picking up some more tempers, and a Blizzard comes out from Chaos. Not a lot of damage, though. We've got a dead Black Mage, but it doesn't seem to be slowing Fuchsia down much. More nukes coming out, more nukes. More tempers.
Yeah, got the hat lying on the floor, but you know, shouldn't be too difficult. And Chaos punching tonight, but not for an appreciable amount of damage.
It looks like that equipment is paying off for Fuchsia.
And we have our second place finisher, Split Punch finishing in second with a time of 1:08:34. So GG to Split Punch, who was clearly one of the most excited people about seeing the thief being revealed.
And Fuchsia throwing some more nukes out, getting hit with Fire 3, not doing too much damage there. Another nuke coming out. And 417 damage for the kill on Chaos, and Fuchsia Fantasy finishes with a time of 1:08:56. So still a very solid time.
Yeah, got off to a rocket start. Took a little time to dig out that ribbon, but you know, managed to outlast some of the other competitors with the superior equipment. So GG to Fuchsia, and we'll see if we can get him in for an interview. Question, chat, how many runners are in this race? 19.
And on our screen, Bismarck and Zelnop continuing their push into the Temple of Fiends to finish up and follow in the footsteps of Fuchsia. Some seafood posing a little bit of a problem for Bismarck, but Nuke takes care of that, and Frost Dragons for Zelnop. And we've got Fuchsia Fantasy available here for an interview, so we're going to get that set up. And Fuchsia, congratulations, good game.
Thanks.
Third at 1:08:56. That was a lightning seed. How did you like it?
Well, it sucks that I didn't get first. I had to wonder what happened. I did not seem to go as fast as I'd like to go. I don't know if it was just the encounters, because I didn't get into that many battles. It's only like 110 or so, 115. I honestly don't know what the hell happened there.
Seemed like you got the worst of the unrunnables in Temple of Fiends, and we're also joined by Split Punch, who finished in second. GG to you, Split.
Congratulations, Split. We're not hearing you if you're talking. Your mic doesn't seem to be working.
But yeah, it seemed like you hit quite a lot of unrunnables at kind of an unfortunate time, Fuchsia.
Yeah, I'm guessing Crab Cakes didn't power cycle, and that's probably what helped him. I mean, the power cycle was not particularly friendly. I mean, it's about a little average, above average, but it hit you with all the dang unrunnables.
Yeah, because it looked like the quad zombie dragons and the seafood platters were also unrunnable, and I think frost giants, frost wolves were also there. So
frost dragons as well.
Yeah, so just, you know, the typical annoying amount of unrunnables. It felt like a classic Topher almost.
Yeah. When did Crab Cakes enter?
Don't know. If Crab Cakes is in chat, we'll see if we can find out. But yeah, we don't know off the top of our heads.
Well, even without the Temple of Fiends, I think there are things I could have done differently. I went to Oasis to get supplies probably too many times.
And I observed that you were checking a lot of chests. Were you really conscious of looking for ribbons?
Yeah, I wanted to have at least one ribbon. It's a little overcautious, but it probably would have. But I don't think I would feel too comfortable without a ribbon.
Yeah, and it looked like Tiamat 2 just led off Bismarck's fight by casting Zap, so definitely.
And that was the zap that did in Shaileasia, who was leading and got into the Temple of Fiends Revisited before anybody else in the race, as far as we are aware, off the stream. But the zap did him in, and I believe also Girl Drink Drunk was taken out by the Tiamat zap.
Can somebody tell me, was a ribbon in Sharknado room?
I actually don't know what was in that room. I don't believe so, because it seems like out of most of our runners, the only ribbon that was found was the one on the third floor of, or the third tier of Sky Castle.
There was also one in C, but I'm not actually sure which.
It was probably Sharknado, because I think a lot of people would have rushed.
Zelnop has 2 ribbons, and
yeah, we've got confirmation from chat there wasn't there.
God damn it!
So Bismarck is on Chaos now, throwing out some tempers, and getting not too much back from Chaos. Doesn't seem to be having too much of a problem yet. Throwing out some nukes. Some poison and frost grey worms giving Zelnop a hard time. That's going to be annoying. But Bismarck still fighting Chaos, still has all 4 Light Warriors up.
And Demarine in 4th place with a time of 1:14.15. And Split, can we try again?
Sounds like it's not working.
Okay, we'll bring Demarine in real quick. Demarine, GG.
Thank you. That was a fun run.
Yeah, lightning fast seed. How did you enjoy having Nuke and the floater that early?
That's how it plays out sometimes. I think I overground a little bit, but you know, when that nuke came out at the end, I was happy for it because I needed every hit point I had.
And it looks like Bismarck on the screen has finished taking out Chaos, and so good job to Bismarck, coming in at 5th place with 1:15.27, just a little over a minute after Demarine. And Girl Drink Drunk comes in at 1:15.42, about 20 seconds, 15 seconds after Bismarck. And Arson Horse in 7th at 1:15.50.
So yeah, a lot of people coming in, all at once here, and after Girl Drink Drunk got a few more levels, made it through the second time without too much difficulty. So good 6th place and a good 7th place from Arson Horse as well.
All right, sounds like you've got a lot of people coming in, so I'm going to step out. Thanks, everybody.
All right, GG.
Congratulations, thanks.
And we have Bismarck joining us right now. GG, Bismarck.
Thanks.
So,
good work, Bismarck.
Cutting it a little close on that chaos fight there.
I just like to keep the crowd waiting. We're on their toes.
But congratulations for finishing that out. What did you think of that seed overall?
I'm sorry, what is that?
What were your thoughts on the seed overall?
It was good. I probably shouldn't have checked some of the chests that I did, but I was just trying to find something like a defense sword or a ribbon. I probably didn't need it. How about them iguanas though? What kind of garbage was that?
We missed it. What did they have?
oh, you didn't see I got all the way to the end of Ordeals? And I'm like, well, let's just see what's here, just in case it's something good, like an eye. No, it was a giant and 2 iguanas, and they had first cast poison.
Oh, jeez.
And so, yeah, so I wiped out of Ordeals and had to do it all over again.
All right, so
Yeah, it happens. What do you do?
You must have done it pretty fast. Excuse me. You must have done it pretty fast because we barely noticed anything. You were pretty quick in Ordeals, I think.
I only missed 1 pillar the whole time. And it was luckily the same room, so I hit it and then went right back into the room I was already in. So I only had to, I think the second go through, it took me maybe a minute and 30 seconds.
And we're joined by a Girl Drink Drunk right now, who finished in 6th place, GG.
GG's.
So, chat was telling us you were second into Temple of Fiends overall. What got you in the Tiamat fight?
Oh, Tiamat just zapped me into, like, the Final Fantasy sequel. It was ridiculous. It killed all my non-fighters, and unfortunately my fighter couldn't finish a job, which ended up being, like, fine. I grinded the slime tile, then went back, because I have a feeling that even if I did get past Tiamat, I wasn't going to beat that chaos with my party comp.
So you're off stream. You're the first person we've interviewed from off stream. What was your progression? Which fiends did you do in which order?
Oh gosh, let's see. I want to say I did Volcano this first, and then I went up to the Sea Shrine, because I think I did Volcano to get some items from the armory, and then there was like NASA in there, so that worked out really well. So after that, I went ahead and went for the rest of the incentivized items and NPCs, which worked out because then it brought me to Waterfall. Then I did Kraken, and then I think I did go-moded Mirage and Sky, and then went to Earth.
Yeah, getting that early Masmune must have been a really big boost. That's nice.
It's always welcome to see. It gives you the freedom of just not needing to promote your classes, although like I went ahead and did anyway because there were some very useful spells.
Yeah, we saw pretty much everybody do that too. You kind of really wanted to get those spells in Melmond, and but not a lot of people went for and picked up the Masmune early. So that might have been one of the reasons that you were in Topher at the beginning of the pack. So it's too bad about that time at Zap, but it sounds like the rest of that run you can be very satisfied with.
Yeah, I mean, I always come into these with the mindset of there are lots of good competitions here, so just making a strong showing, see where I place, and continue onward in the future.
Sounds pretty good. All right. So we've got Zelnop at a Tiamat and Chitin checking out the Earth Cave, and a lot of our runners have finished in the pack.
Yeah, so a lot of folks are headed into the Chaos fight right now, just taking a look at off stream, so anticipate a few more people coming in. In the meantime, let's pull Split Punched in and see if his mic is working. GG
Hello?
Split. Hey, we can hear you now.
Oh, well, holy crap, I can talk. That's amazing.
It's much better.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so I guess you finally found a use for A-Mute.
I figured I had to branch out with my meme strats, so we're getting into real hipster memes.
Yeah, so speaking of meme strats, early Nuke, unfortunately, made it less memey, but how did you like the speed of the seed overall?
I enjoyed it. I know that I could have done a little bit better, but I'm not, like, I feel like my routing is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the choices I made. I'm not sure I needed to stop, and I actually stopped and got my fighter up to 24 at the Astos Castle encounters, just because I wanted that 5th hit on Masamune just in case. Because if Fast was somewhere, I didn't see it. Maybe it was somewhere and I just totally forgot, but...
Yeah, I don't think anyone on screen picked it up, so it's probably 7 or
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it either. So split punched. You were coming in at second. So did you have any trouble with timeout? Because we had a few people report that they had a fun time with Zap from timeout.
I had a ribbon on my red mage and a ribbon on my knight, so even if it took out the ninja or black mage, I was just gonna bring them back after the fight. I would have had to get the 3 out of 256 to really have a problem.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a really good seed, a really good run, and I would like to see more of that in the VOD after the show. Where did you? I asked this question of Girl Drink Drive too, but since you weren't on the stream, where did you end up going first in terms of Fiend dungeons?
I did Volcano, then Sky Castle, then Sea, and then finished with Earth.
And did you grab the Masmian out of Volcano?
Yes, I did.
Oh
Yeah.
no, Zelnop takes a wipe to Chaos. He must have been real close, but just took one swing and completely missed, and that was enough for Chaos to cycle back to nuclear.
Chaos had nuclear?
Yep. And
Oh. Oh, I didn't see either one of those. He just liked to swing at me a lot, and I didn't care.
The advantage of going fast enough, you just dodge the nuclears. It looks like Zelnop is not heading in here to deal with Chaos again, and is instead going to head up to wandering around in Gaia.
Yeah, take a look at the level 8 shops. Just looking for where Fast landed, and it may have landed in Lefane.
That's gonna eat up some time. It's gonna be very frustrating for him. He's very close to the end.
Yeah, I think coming in with a fast charge, though, should be able to take Chaos out without too much trouble. Unless, the nasty skills and spells roll high, but there's really not much you can do about that with any party comp. So Chitin beating up the vampire right now, and Zelnop taking a peek into the Leifin magic shop, so we'll see what we have here. There it is, fast at 8.
And how many charges is that gonna give him of fast?
I think he only has 1 right now.
Save that right to the end.
Yeah, it's all you need, and you know what you're up against for these next fiends, so...
And we're unfortunately not going to be able to see Zelnop get all the way to the end. Like I said, that's going to be frustrating. And Chitin also, we're not going to see get to the end. He's in the Earth Cave. But this has been a really excellent show tonight. Again, this was the exhibition, the final preseason exhibition. Before we get into season 2,